Stay stitching is a single row of stitches used to prep certain areas of a garment in order to maintain its integrity during the construction process. Why is stay stitching necessary? When cutting out your pieces, they're usually on the grain line, but this isn't true for all sides of a piece. There may be parts of it on the bias or on a curve, making that section off grain. This is why you'll typically want to do stitching on areas like necklines, armholes, or waistlines. If you gently pull a section and it has a stretch, stay stitch it. If you're unsure, you can still do it as it won't hurt the construction. This applies even to non-stretchy woven fabrics. What happens if you don't stay stitch? It seems like such a small thing, but if you skip stay stitching, these areas can become stretched out or distorted during construction. It could be hard to match up pieces later, or it won't drape properly when finished. Stay stitching should be done after you cut out your pieces, but before you start construction. It's considered prep work, so it's usually the first step in the directions. In directions, it will look something like this. An arrow will show the direction to sew, so there'll be the least amount of stretching. In this example, I'll start at one shoulder and sew to the center of the neckline. Then I'll start at the other shoulder and sew to the center of the neckline again. If you're unsure, sew from top to bottom. The stitch will stay in the garment, so you don't want to do it on the seam line. If your seam allowance is 5/8 of an inch, do your stay stitch at the 1/2 inch mark. You're not stitching anything together. This is a single layer of fabric. Do not stretch or pull the fabric while sewing. If you're concerned about this, you can use a walking foot. Doing a back stitch at the beginning and end is optional and not necessary. Once all your stay stitching is done, you can move on to the construction of the garment